You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Have you ever thought about serving internationally on a short-term mission? I know you have.
I have.
Yes, I've thought about it too. I think it would be an adventure, and we get to learn about the adventure of two volunteers who served in Germany this September. We're going to learn about their story and meet with Deaconess Kim Bueltmann, who serves the Lord in Germany, in just a moment. Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting the Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu.
Live uncommon.
Joining us in studio, Deaconess Kim Bueltmann, serving the Lord in Germany, our deaconess in Deutschland. Deaconess Kim, welcome back.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
In studio,
yeah. When you come back and spend time in studio. Also in studio, Sharon Delmore. She's a volunteer who served the Lord recently in Germany. Sharon, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us talk about our experiences.
Also joining us online, Linda Forte. She's a volunteer who recently served in Germany as well. Linda, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So Kim, let's talk about where you get to serve in Germany and the community that you serve. Tell us about Leipzig and that community.
Leipzig is a pretty large city by German standards, around 600,000. And our outreach center is in a neighborhood that is historically more middle, lower class, working class. And so we have a very actually diverse neighborhood at the moment. We have people from a lot of different countries, immigrants, and a lot of Germans who are living on welfare. It's traditionally kind of rough neighborhood, has a reputation for being one of the most dangerous areas in Germany.
Okay.
So it's not uncommon for, drug addicts, alcoholics to be coming in our doors or sitting on our steps. So yeah, that's where we're at.
What does service look like for you in that area, in that neighborhood?
Yeah, it's an adventure every day. Not quite sure ever what to expect. So we have open doors Monday through Thursday. And programs kind of running during those times for children in the neighborhood who are kind of running around in the streets, not having much supervision, for adults who maybe just need help or want to talk about things. A very big focus of ours is among Persian speakers, refugees from Iran and Afghanistan. And so we have Bible studies and baptism classes for them specifically every week. Yeah. And one of the newer things that we're doing is a Bible study in the English language. We have a new member through that who actually is from America. He's been in Germany for about 12 years, had become a Christian later in life, and kind of fell away for a while again, and now was looking to find a way back into the church. And so that's been really cool. And he's been inviting friends, German friends who speak English, and we have an English Bible study once a week, which has kind of been a fun thing too for us. So
that's really cool.
See, I think most Americans, particularly Midwesterners, when we think of Leipzig, we just think everyone walks around singing Bach all the time.
Right, yeah, basically.
Yes, and that there are Bach recitals every day, and that's when we live in our own little bubble. It's helpful for us to have these stories, to learn more about where the Lord has given you to serve and so many others to serve, to bring the good news. And speaking of good news, you have an outreach festival in Leipzig, mostly every year. Tell us a little bit about the history of this and what this outreach festival is about.
Sure. So I don't know when it first started. Our outreach center in this neighborhood opened in 2012. And I know from the first day that the doors opened, it was originally meant to be kind of a center for refugees from the Middle East, primarily Iran and Afghanistan. But the first day the doors opened, because in the neighborhood we were in, the children that were out in the park right outside our doors were just flooding in. What's going on here? What is this place? And so right away from the beginning, there were activities for children, for everybody. And so I'm not sure when the very first festival was, and it wasn't necessarily an annual event, but they would have them for kind of special things. Because most of the people in our neighborhood are either German and atheist or immigrants and Muslim. So both groups are very, very hesitant to say, oh, I'm going to go check out that church. And I mean, even to just walk in the doors and see it is kind of an intimidating thing for them, or a taboo thing for them. And so we are kind of looking for ways to have our doors open, to let them know who we are, that we're not that intimidating, that we care about them, that we're there for them. And so this has become a regular event since we got the church that's across the street from our outreach center, because that wasn't always a part of our our church was originally hidden away in the woods in the north part of Leipzig where no one could ever find it, which was great, up until about 1989. And then we said, hey, let's get out there and be known and be a witness in the community. And so it wasn't until 2018 that we actually moved into the church that's directly across from the park. And so it's actually a prime place to do ministry in this park where literally everyone is hanging out. And we've got our outreach center on one side and the church on the other side. And so we started doing these festivals regularly to say, hey, we're here, we're connected here, you're welcome both places anytime, just to get to know people in a kind of non-threatening environment in a fun way where, there's free food, there's games, there's a bouncy house, there's a clown, there's all kinds of stuff. And they're saying, oh yeah, let's go. And then we can get to know the community that way and they can get to know us. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it started. So
sounds like a fun event. Everyone loves a bounce house.
Oh yeah.
Clowns, I don't know, but the bounce house definitely.
Yeah.
What's the response been like throughout the years? Because you've been doing this for a while then.
Right. Yeah. So
has it grown at all?
Yes, absolutely. So the first one I experienced was actually, we set it up it coincided with our church rededication. When we got the building, it needed to be restored. And so we said, we'll have the dedication and then we'll have this big festival. So we'll just invite the whole community out so they know, hey, this church is open now and it's been restored and it's here for you. This is your neighborhood church. And so it was part of that. And then the next year we did it again in the summer and there was a group that showed up and said, hey, we want to help out. And so we did that. And then COVID came. And so we had a few years off. And then we decided after COVID, we wanted to bring it back and we wanted to let people know we were there. And one of the church elders, because it had primarily been a function of the mission, the outreach missionaries, and the congregation hadn't been super involved. But one of the elders said, you know what, we should have this on the second Sunday in September. And so it became a regular event on the second Sunday of September because throughout Germany, the second Sunday in September is a day of open doors for all kind of landmarks, museums, monuments. And so you can go into these places for free. And our church is considered a landmark because it was part of the history of the peaceful revolution, which led to the Berlin Wall coming down. And so we wanted to have our doors open. And he said, why not do the festival then? And you get a lot more people in. And so that first year, we actually had a family who was wanting to do kind of short-term trips around the world. They took a year off from their jobs and took their kids around the world. And so I was contacted and said, do you have anything in the fall that this family could help with? And I said, yeah, we do. So they were our first short-term team through the LCMS. And then it was a little bit smaller then because it was post-COVID and people were still kind of hesitant to really go out and interact, in big crowds. And so then the following year, we said, let's make it an even bigger splash. And so we had a week of activities kind of like leading up to the festival. So kind of smaller targeted events like senior coffee hour, children's fun day or family fun day, kind of a teen night with pizza and controlled graffiti on. So, because graffiti is a very popular activity in our neighborhood. We said, here, you can have it on this. And we kind of had a theme around that. And cool. Yeah, and it all like tied into pointing them to Christ. And then we used that graffiti wall with Christ in the center as kind of the backdrop for the rest of the week of activities. So that year we also printed 2,000 flyers and we knocked on every single door in the neighborhood and handed out invitations. So it really grew. And then this year again did the same thing. Our volunteers helped us go around door to door, and if they couldn't speak German and asked to come in, we sent them to the houses that had mailboxes outside where they could just put them in because that's legal there. So yeah. So it's definitely kind of progressively grown and gotten bigger. Yeah. Everyone knows about it. The kids see me on the streets and they're like, when are you doing another event? When can we come? I'm like, you can come every week. We're always there doing fun stuff. So
that's outstanding. I can't wait to learn more from our volunteers as well about how they were able to partner and, come spend some time there as well. What you mentioned, like volunteers coming out to help door to door, things like that, other ways that volunteers have served with the Outreach Festival.
Yeah, I mean, they're very crucial to what we're doing because we're 3 missionaries and we've got hundreds of people coming out. And we want to have food and activities and all these things going on. If we're doing all of the stuff, we can't interact with people and talk to people and get to know people to build those relationships. So they did everything. The first day they did a major cleaning of the neighborhood and the outreach center and the church, and they were preparing food, baking cakes, and all kinds of, all of this, kind of legwork to prepare for the festival, and serving the people drinks, making coffee, you name it, collecting garbage, cleaning up in the bathrooms, just, yep. So it was, and some people might say, oh, wow, I got to clean the bathroom or I got to take the trash out. But if we're doing that, we're not interacting with the people, then why even have it,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What have you seen through the years, in addition to the response of people coming, how have you been able to build relationships with people, with the neighborhood, with the community through this outreach festival?
Yeah, the kids from the neighborhood know us now even more because we've been able to connect with them through these events. And so we see them. One of my favorite stories is about a little girl who we hadn't seen for several years, who used to be part of our kids group, who her parents decided, this is a dangerous neighborhood. Let's not ever let our kids go outside. Just get them to school, get them home. And so they stopped coming to our stuff. And she had always, it's an atheist family too. And her little girl had really been showing signs that the Holy Spirit was working in her heart. And so it was really disappointing when all of a sudden she wasn't coming anymore. And when they got the flyer that we handed out that first year after COVID, she and her two little brothers came every single day, even to the senior coffee hour. They were there for every event. And I was just thrilled because, I had just started seeing them out and about when that summer before the festival. And I'd be riding my bike to church and I'd see them in the park. Oh, hey, it's so good to see you. Well, we'd love to see you back and all that kind of stuff. So it was really exciting that they came back. And they had always gone to camp with us. And so they actually were able to go to camp with us again this past summer. And that was a really, really good experience. And her little brothers hadn't been involved before. And to see them kind of just really taking in the gospel and singing the songs with such gusto, it was just like a really cool thing. And so just all those kind of connections and being able to interact and invite the kids to other things where they can continue to hear God's word, have seeds planted and watered.
Wow, what an opportunity. We're going to learn more about the volunteers who recently served in September in Germany. We'll share those stories in just a moment. You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
At Concordia University, Wisconsin, we believe you were created for a reason: to use your God-given gifts to help others, to live a life of self-sacrifice in a me-first world, to live a life that's uncommon. Whether you're taking one of 50-plus online programs or learning with us in person on the shores of Lake Michigan, you'll be equipped to make an uncommon impact. Learn more at cuw.edu. Concordia University, Wisconsin. Live uncommon.
Only 750 of over 7,000 languages spoken in the world have the full Bible. Lutheran Bible Translators wants to help close the gap in this generation. We can do this with your help. Connect your congregation to the global church by hosting a Bible Translation Sunday, an advocacy event that raises awareness about Bible translation. Lutheran Bible Translators provides ready-to-use service elements, a sermon outline, and more, all designed to fit your church's schedule. Join the movement of Lutheran churches committed to bringing God's Word to every language. Visit lbt.org/BTS to learn more and sign up for a Bible Translation Sunday. That's lbt.org/BTS.
Welcome back to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Today we're talking with friends serving in Germany with an outreach festival in Leipzig. Deaconess Kim Bueltmann serves the Lord in Germany full-time, and Sharon and Linda both serve as volunteers recently at an outreach festival in September. Let's talk about what you knew about this part of Europe before. Sharon, had you visited Europe at all, or Germany? What was your experience and familiarity with this part of Europe?
Just as a tourist, had never really been to Germany a whole lot. So when this opportunity came up, I felt like it was a great way to learn more. When people heard we were going to go to help with a festival in Germany, they were like, "Oh yeah, right. Bring out the beer." But
October Festival. Yeah.
exactly. And I do get the newsletters from Pastor Christian Teves in northern Germany, and his newsletters are just so inspiring. The work with the immigrants, and I do have a heart for immigrants. So I was hooked when my friend told me about this. I felt like it was good to go.
Linda, what about you? Have you been to Germany before? What did you know about the area before you went?
I had not been to Germany, and the eastern part of Germany, the history is very different. And I had to stop and realize that the wall only came down in 1989. And they're still trying to play catch up to the rest of Germany because, a lot of people said, "Oh, don't worry." I was a little nervous traveling alone, and we weren't meeting up as a team until we arrived in Leipzig. So people kept saying, "Oh, don't worry. They all speak English. There's no problem." Not the case. People did not speak English. And, it was kind of like someone had prayed with me before I left and said, "Well, pray that God sends you angels to guide you along the way." And sure enough, I'm in the airport. The signs are not in English. And I'm trying to find where the baggage is, how to get out of there to find the local train. And a woman came up behind me and she said, "Hi, I'm here in Germany with my husband who is in the military." And she spoke perfect English. She led me to baggage claim, and then she told me exactly how to get on the local train. And I was like, wow, these are the angels that God sends to guide our path. Had I been to Europe, my family immigrated from Finland in the 50s. So I've been back to Finland a couple of times because our entire family is still there except my parents who had come here with all my siblings. And then I had been to Spain visiting one of my daughters who was there for a semester for college. And, and been through London very quickly. That was hair-raising experience. But my first time to Germany, and it was eye-opening. And really, truly, I do have a heart for immigrants. Being an immigrant family myself, coming to a country and not speaking the language. So it was a wonderful experience.
Sharon, tell us about your duties. I know earlier you were nodding your head at cleaning the bathroom. So what else were you able to do during the festival?
I was the trash queen.
There you go.
Well, our first job was cleaning up the park. And the visual of the church and the park and the community center is just perfect. The park in front of the church is almost like just the lawn, and it just leads right into the community center. There could not be a more perfect place for this whole community to be. And actually, it's called Brücke, which apparently means bridge. And the community center is the bridge between the church and the community. And it is perfect. And the park is well used. Families, moms with their little ones come and they just sit around. And like Kim said, they're curious about what's going on in that building across the park. The kids, of course, are more adventurous, and there's joy. There is joy, with the Persian community, the Rachel and Kim, Pastor Ugo. They just exude joy in the community that makes the people want to check it out. I was just curious about the Farsi community. And they're very reachable, I think. Seems like, at least, from when we were there. Yeah. So we did a lot of cleanup in the park, which I think was a good outreach because the families, they do kind of trash the park. But so here we were cleaning up and making it look nice and scrubbing the steps. And so I think that was a good visual for them to see that we were wanting to help them have a better place for this festival.
Linda, tell us about your responsibilities at the Outreach Festival.
Well, I arrived and I really, for a couple of days, I felt like I was from the outside looking in because everyone there had come from the Midwest. They were Texas, Kansas, and Missouri. And here I was, the only New Englander. And I could already tell that my pace was very different from the people from the Midwest. So, and they had all engaged in former mission trips, or they were wives to pastors. They were, so many of them had this experience before. And this is my first time out of the gate to actually be part of it. So I was excited, but kind of waiting to see where I fit in. As you know, the Midwest has Concordia, and now New England, we've lost Concordia, which makes me really sad. But so I said, okay, I know there's a place for me. I know I'm supposed to be here because God sent me here. So I started the first day, of course, we were baking, and I made biscotti and pound cakes and everything for one of the coffees. And then we were cleaning. I became the window washer of the building. And then we walked around the neighborhood, canvassing, handing out flyers to really pump up the festival. So it was an incredible experience. And once I found my footing and where I fit in with all the Midwesterners, it was a great, great experience.
Linda,
I was just going to mention a little side note on the food preparation. They have a little kitchen there about half the size of this studio.
And that's pretty small.
Yes. And no one was like, you're in my way. This is my space. I mean, you were stirring up batter on top of a dish drainer, or on top of a coffee pot. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Made it work.
And I think the most intriguing thing was when I was actually cooking the waffles. That was my job for the Children's Festival, where I was the waffle maker. But everything that I came across was in metric. So now it required, okay, my math skills. You're a teacher, so how are you going to convert all of this? So we made the conversions, and then we put up a little conversion chart in the kitchen so whoever was in the kitchen could see how many milligrams equal teaspoons, whatever it was. And that was great. I also, as a teacher, I was able to make some of the games for the Children's Festival Day. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind is there was a little boy, and we were playing with the parachute. And I have a photo of him. And it is just the look of that unbridled joy on his face that he was part of this. And I actually have that on my board that I presented at church, just to show how happy children can be with some of the most simple things where we were playing with a parachute. And that really has stuck in my mind. So it was great.
Sharon, what are some of your favorite memories, some of the people that you got to meet, some of the big takeaways that you got from serving in this way?
Well, the kids for sure. And they bring their parents. There was one boy whose mom was there with him, and he was a little shy, but she was sitting there by him the whole time. And the message, of course, with Pastor Ugo and the songs were directed to the children, but you could tell his mom was soaking it all up. And she just, her face was glowing. Mm-hmm. And the whole festival time, they were there and the kids were there. The Persians were joyful. On the Saturday we were there, we went up to Chemnitz. There's a small Farsi outreach there. And Pastor Ugo blew his trumpet in the street to announce the church was starting. And it was a very small Farsi community, but they were there enthusiastic and singing the songs, and just, it was reaching them. And that was beautiful to see. There was a SEM student named David who just appeared the first day that we were there. And he was I guess the SEM was up in the northern Germany where he was going, and he was told to come there to help Pastor Ugo. And he had no clue what he was to do, but boy, he just jumped right in, and he was great. So he was a good. And Pastor Ugo has a bicycle that has a cart on the front of it. And was I guess, one of his main forms of transportation, and he can haul all kinds of stuff with that cart. including children, for the festival. So that was fun for them.
Bike taxi.
Yes, it's bike taxi. Yeah.
It's my kind of taxi.
Yeah.
With just about a minute left, I'd like to hear from each of our volunteers how this service opportunity shaped your service back home in your congregation and in your community. Linda, how has this experience serving in Leipzig shaped how you serve now back at home?
Andy, it made a huge impact on me because I know that part of the LCMS has been to grow church workers. And I think we need to do more in New England. We have small congregations. When I think Lene told me that their church had 6,000 members, I said, and I'm excited because we have 200. So there is such disparity in the numbers of Lutherans in the Midwest versus us in New England. So one of my big things, and I just presented at the LWML rally, and I passed out all the prayer cards, and I talked about opportunities and how to get involved. And I'm going to talk with my pastor now, and I'm going to send out letters to the pastors in our area and offer to go and speak to their churches about kids getting involved in mission work, because I think once they do this, you can't get rid of it. It becomes a part of you. And I think this is what's going to promote church growth, is if we start with the young people. And I think all of a sudden now that's become my mission here back at home, to really reach out to the youth of our churches so we don't lose them. And that's the big thing. So that's where I am right now, reaching out and offering to tote my German board all around New England and try to get people enthusiastic about serving in short-term mission trips.
Sharon, how did your time serving in Leipzig shape how you serve back home in your congregation here in St. Louis?
My main emphasis is to let people in our church know that there's a mission right in our own community. We have a preschool. We have a variety of cultures in our preschool. We don't have to be hesitant in how we want to reach out to them. We don't have to think, well, I wonder if they would appreciate this, conversation or this thought or whatever. Just show them the joy and the love of Christ, and right in our own community. That's where I'm trying to go.
Well, we certainly have appreciated both of you sharing your stories with us. Kim, thank you so much for taking some time during your visits here in the St. Louis area. We appreciate you spending some time in the studio with us today as well. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Linda, for being our guest on the Coffee Hour today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can learn more about opportunities to serve by visiting servenow.lcms.org. You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.